This is how I helped Matt beat depression in literally a couple of weeks. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Be Better podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Orr. I am a health and performance coach. I help people to stress less, have more energy by addressing the root cause. No more quick fixes that just don't really address the root cause. We help people to sleep better, manage their stress better so that they can feel and perform at their best as parents, leaders, business owners, partners, and everything in between. And today I wanted to share a story of a client recently that I helped to literally go from being, as he would describe it, depressed, procrastinating all the things that he used to love and just not enjoying the things that he used to, not enjoying life, and just wondering like, what the fuck's the point anymore? Like, why am I even doing any of this? What's the point in trying hard? What's the point in trying to strive to be better, to make more money, to create this life that I know I kind of want, but everything just seems so freaking hard. And that's a tough place to be in when you can't even find that energy or that reason for yourself, right? And that reason is not something that I or anybody can give you. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a coach or a mentor or it's a partner or even a child or even a boss or anybody. A reason why it's worth creating a life that you freaking love, why it's worth making that money so you've got resources to live that life of freedom, why it's worth having, boundless energy and, a sound mental space to be able to even enjoy being in your own head, which I know a lot of people don't. Finding reasons to do any of that is something that only you can create. And so in today's episode, I want to share the story of how I helped him in this new little series that I want to do of client stories, so that if you're in a similar space, you can take some of the lessons that I've taken or shared, help these people experience, so that you can take them, run with them, and improve your life a hell of a lot faster and ultimately be better. So one of the things that we looked at, because I don't want to discredit depression and mental illness. I'm not saying that those things don't exist, but I do want to caveat that and say that I think there are a hell of a lot of people that have those experiences that is situational. Like, for sure, there's some people out there that have some brain chemistry issues or malfunctions or whatever, however you want to label them, that medication is very helpful for them, right? Not discrediting that. But I think there's a large portion of people that, without sounding too much like a dick, just live depressing lives. And so it's not so much that you need medication or need any of this, like these other treatments. It's, well, anyone would be depressed living that kind of a life. Like, that's not hard to see. And so what we did was kind of unpack a little bit, like, first of all, for his self-worth, that wasn't very, very high. His confidence wasn't very high. And then so we were looking at some of the things that were going on. And one of my big beliefs when it comes to self-belief, self-worth, confidence, all those things is, do you trust yourself? Right? Do you do the things that you say you're going to do? Do you follow through with those words, those little micro commitments to yourself? Because if we break our own psyche, our own personality, our own person into two different people, two different beings, and there's one of you that says these things, and there's the other one that does the things, right? And if you're the person that says the things, and there's the other version of you that does the things, but the one that does the things never fucking does them, how much are you going to trust that guy? Probably not much. You give them all these chances of like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to get up at our alarm. We're not going to snooze it 10 times today. We're going to go to the gym tomorrow. We're not going to binge on chocolate or on Netflix or on porn or whatever your vice is. We're going to do these healthy habits instead. But then when it comes to doing them, we don't. We ignore those promises we made to ourselves. We do the opposite. We fall back into that same pattern. How much are you going to trust that version of you, that person? how would you feel towards that person? You'd probably feel pretty frustrated, right? Because they're not following through. They're not doing anything that they said they would. There's that incongruence of saying one thing but just not doing it or doing the other. And when it comes to these little micro commitments, we don't need to be massive in terms of, huge overreaching, like, go straight from not going to the gym at all to going to the gym five days a week, to going from, barely touching our side hobby or our side business to then putting 20 hours a week into it, go from one extreme to the other, be all or nothing, which I know a lot of us try to be, which ends up disastrous for a lot of us because it doesn't happen. Then it hurts our ego. We get more frustrated because we're like, oh, you idiot, you said you would do it. Why couldn't you do it? Why couldn't you stick to it? When in reality, it's just unrealistic to go from one extreme to the other. And this is where, if you've heard of him before, or maybe you haven't, Jordan Peterson talks about just making your bed. A lot of people will say like, oh, well, making your bed is so insignificant. Like, that doesn't lead to success. It doesn't lead to anything else. Sure, not directly, but two little actions that happen when you do make your bed. Some seemingly insignificant task. One, if you said that that's what you're going to do and you did it, congratulations. Awesome. That's one thing that you said you were going to do. And if you're in that space now where you're struggling to do anything that you say you were going to do, those little smaller habits are where we need to start. Like, cut the ego and start with those small habits of making the bed, of brushing your teeth every like twice a day, of cleaning up after yourself, not leaving dirty dishes in the sink, not leaving a mess, little things like this. And some people might laugh and think, oh, that's so trivial. But how often is it so easy to just, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. But then on the flip side, when you do those things, you just don't even think about it, just wash it up. It'll take you all of 5 seconds. And then you do it. Not only have you just ticked off that task of, well, it took 5 seconds, so I did it. Second of all, next time you come back to that environment, next time you now come back into the kitchen to cook dinner, or you come to the bed at the end of the day and the area is clean, how much better do you feel? How much easier is it now to prep dinner in a clean environment? How much better do you feel coming into a made bed at night? Like, I don't know about you, but when I'm in a clean environment, my mind is so much clearer. It's easier to focus. It's easier to concentrate. It's not this nagging little things of like, well, there's mess here, it's chaos here. And then consequently, when our environment is so chaotic and messy, well, it's no wonder our headspace is the same, right? Our environment plays a huge part in our mindset. And also, it is a visual representation of our standards. You would be hard pressed to find someone that lives in an absolute dump that has high standards in some other area in their life. And so, working on those micro commitments, because this will do two things. First of all, if you only do what you say you're going to do, two things will happen. A, you will take more action. You will be more confident. You will build more trust with yourself. You will be more congruent. All those things result in higher self-worth, higher self-value. Second of all, you will be a lot more mindful of what you commit to. You will be a lot more thoughtful before you say, I'm going to do this thing, or I'll do it tomorrow, I'll start this thing, I'm going to do this thing. Because if you have no intention of doing that thing, if you see that thing or think about it and you're like, you know what, I don't really want to do that, I don't have time, it seems too hard, or whatever else the case might be, instead of saying, oh yeah, I'll do it, and then knowing already that you're going to break that little commitment, you can either A, say to yourself, or if someone else is asking you, no, sorry, I don't have capacity for that right now. And that will free up your mind like nothing else, by just taking action on the things as soon as they come up and only committing to things that you have full intention of actually doing when you say you're going to do them. If you want to be more confident and have more trust and more self-worth, more self-belief in yourself, start with these things. When you look at where you're incongruent in these areas, I guarantee you there are some huge holes if you're not as confident and don't have as high self-worth as you'd like to, there's probably some incongruencies here which you could address. Right? That was number one that we went through with Matt, and changed the name for privacy reasons, but we'll refer to him as Matt. Second one that we looked at was in times in his life when he had felt the best, what was going on in his life? Because success leaves clues. So I asked him, like, when was the time that you felt most productive, that you felt like you were valued, that you were enjoying your work, that you were loving life the most? And he's someone that loves sports, right? And so I brought up, like, at first he was kind of stuck. And so I brought up the Tony Robbins 6 human needs. And so if you're unfamiliar with them, Tony Robbins has this concept that there are 6 human needs, beyond food, shelter, water, like not those ones, like 6 human needs that we all find ways to fill, to find what we deem as being a balanced life. If we don't have these needs met, we will seek to meet them, unfortunately, in sometimes, less constructive ways. And so the 6 human needs are certainty. Like, we like to have certainty that we have dinner to eat, like food to eat for dinner tonight, that we have a bed to come home to, that our family is going to be here when we come home, right? We like that certainty. We like the certainty that there's money in the bank, that there's money coming in to pay for that food, to pay for the rent, mortgage, all that stuff. Second one, which is a little bit contrary to that, is uncertainty or variety. So we like to know that we've got food for dinner, but we like to have variety in that type of food, right? We don't want to eat the same meal every single day for the rest of our life. We like to know that, cool, I'm going to be fed, I'm not going to starve, but there's some variety there. It might be steak, it might be pasta, it might be sushi, it might be whatever, but that need is still being met, right? Sometimes when people get destructive, that variety, especially when it comes to long relationships or marriages, things like that, ends up with people straying because they've put themselves in this cycle of monotony with work, with routine, with partners who have turned into roommates more than lovers or anything else like that. And in seeking this variety, they seek it from other partners being unfaithful. And that's the example that Tony Robbins uses, and this really related to me. If you've had a partner who's cheated on you in the past, and you ask them, like, why did you do it? Do you just, like, as a guy, it's like, do you not love me? Am I not hot enough? Is my dick not big enough? Am I bad in bed? Is it this? Is it that? And it's like, and they say, no, it's none of those things. Like, I don't know. And they can't give you an actual reason. And we just don't believe that. It's like, it's bullshit. Like, you're lying to me. Why can't you? We've come this far. Why can't you just tell me why you did it? Why I'm not good enough? Why I wasn't enough? Sure, there's going to be some times where they are hiding the truth there. But in other times, there is a genuine lack of understanding of why they did it. And so Tony Robbins' concept is they were seeking to meet a need that they didn't even know that they were seeking, that they didn't even know was being unmet in their life. They were out trying to have this need met. So the third need is significance. Feeling like we are unique or we are important or we're needed in some capacity, right? Like we are valued. The fourth is connection or love. Like we are deeply connected to our partner, to our work, to friends. Like we have this love from the people around us, like we're giving and receiving it. Fifth one is growth. Like that expansion of capacity, of ability. For some people, they get that in fitness. For some people, they get it in business or their career growth, in different personal areas. We like to feel like whether we're growing, we're not just stagnant. We're not the same person that we were 12 months ago, 24 months ago, or even, a couple of weeks ago. We like to know that what we're doing is helping us to grow, to be better humans, better partners, better parents, better leaders, all that stuff. And the sixth one, which is a big one, and the one that we identified with Matt that was missing for him, was contribution. A sense of service or focus helping on others to give and support others. And so for Matt, who loves being a part of a team, loves team sports, always plays, cricket in the summer, but doesn't have too much going on in the winter, and has always thrived as being part of a team in the work environment, recognize that, well, it's just been winter, so he hasn't been a part of a sporting team for quite a few months. And at work, everything feels disconnected. He's not a part of a team that's working towards a common goal, and all these things have been kind of mounting up, and he's just got no accountability. No, he's not contributing to a bigger cause. And so, looking at these areas, it pointed out to him a few areas, a few needs that weren't being met. And so, with that new information, allowed him to seek constructive ways to meet those needs. So now cricket has started up, so he's got that going as well. He's now got an extra social event to connect with those people, providing that connection, not necessarily love, but with these people, an extra connection, that social circle. And then also, now he's got a potential partnership for a new business as well, something that he was already working on, but now a partnership with somebody else. He's got now that external, I guess, not pressure, but accountability, and like what he's doing is actually contributing to somebody else, because relying on himself right now is not a big enough motivator. He needs to have someone else counting on him, and for him to be able to give back to them, because he knows that he won't let other people down. But for himself, it's easy to just say, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it when I get time, when I feel like it. And so those were the two big things so far that we've helped Matt to get out of that depressive state. And now he doesn't procrastinate the work that he used to. It used to take him a couple of weeks to do certain tasks. Now he does it in a couple of hours. And the last piece that has been really helpful, and this goes for anyone that's wants to be more productive and get more done, is because one of the things that I'll pre-frame this, sorry. One of the things that was an issue for him was he couldn't recognize the things that he was doing right? He would get to the end of the day and he would have nothing to show for it. And that was one of the things that was kind of bugging him, that he had nothing to show for his time, for his day. Like, he knew he was capable of more, but he just wasn't achieving that. He wasn't achieving the level that he could. But he also didn't know what he was or wasn't doing, because he had nothing to show for it. He wasn't tracking anything. And so one of the things that we implemented was setting some intentions for the day. So the morning, he needs to set some intentions for his day, so that he has clear objectives that he needs to achieve his highest ROI tasks, both at work and in his personal time. And so it's not a huge to-do list, because we've all got that massive to-do list. It's literally, what is the one item in this block that needs to be done? And just to explain that block, one of the things he was also struggling with was not getting up at the time of his alarm, not going to the gym, not doing these things in the morning, and letting that then cascade into the rest of his day. Oh, it's a shit day, I'm this, I'm that, and then it would just ruin the rest of his day. So what we did was broke his day into quarters, and so all he had to do was win the quarter. At the end of each quarter, the reset. So at the end of each quarter, he would go for a walk around the block, he would leave his environment, he would reset, he would revisit his intention for the next block, and then go again. So at worst, if he didn't hit that last block's intention, there's a reset. That then doesn't ruin the entire day. So each quarter, so your first quarter is from when you wake up to say 9:30, then it's 9:30 to 1, and we're breaking the day up like that. So that one missed opportunity, one missed intention, one sleep in doesn't cascade to an entire ruined day. That's all right, cool. We missed that one. We can't change anything about that now. What did we learn? Is question number one, so that we can aim to do better tomorrow. And then two, what are we going to do different now? Well, now I'm going to put extra effort into nailing this quarter's intention, and then revisiting that. And so at the end, and these are all written down as well, so that at the end of the day, at the end of the week, he can look back and say, these were my intentions, these are the ones that I hit, this is what I've accomplished this week. Because then also going back to point number one, now he's got congruence. Now he can start to track and visually see all the things that he said he was going to do and all the things that he's ticked off and consequently done. Now he starts to build this track record and changing that narrative in his mind that he can do it, that he has that trust in himself of when he's going to do something, when he says he's going to do something, he actually does it. And then we track progress. Because if he's making progress in all the areas that we like, awesome. He's picking the correct task to do in that allotted time. On the flip side, if we're not making the type of progress that he would like, then we can revisit. Because if you're actioning all those tasks and we're not making the progress, quite possibly means that we're picking the wrong tasks. Because if your goal is to lose fat and you make hitting your protein intake your biggest goal, like your highest ROI task, of course that might be important. But if you're still in a calorie surplus, it's not going to do anything for your fat loss, right? And so being able to then analyze of, have you hit the task? If you have, then awesome. It's not a consistency issue at this point. Next level down. You're hitting the task, but we're not getting the result. Well, it's an allocation of tasks. We're picking the wrong tasks that aren't getting us the result. Okay, then we can change those. And now with this level of specificity, it becomes a hell of a lot easier to track that progress, those actions, and go from there. And you might be thinking, well, there's a lot of action here. Like, what does that have to do with depression? When you take action, you get new feedback. It gets our body in motion. It gets us out of the state that we're in. Have you ever tried to think yourself out of a bad headspace? It's pretty hard, right? I like the saying that trying to think your way out of a bad headspace is like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine addiction. It's not very helpful, right? Especially when you're in that victim mindset, you're in this doom and gloom, everything's too hard, I can't be bothered, why me, why this? And it's very just depressive and down. So do things. Move your body, go for a walk, set some actions, do the actions. And sure, there's going to be times where you don't fucking feel like it. But that's life. There's always going to be times when you don't feel like doing shit. But it's the ability to do shit even when you don't feel like it. There's the difference between the people that get what they want in life and the people that don't. You can call it motivation, you can call it discipline, you can call it whatever. But sometimes the work just needs to be done regardless of how you feel about it. And so I'll leave that there. I hope that's been helpful. If you're in a down headspace, of course, if you are experiencing severe depression, if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you're having to that extent, please call the suicide hotline. Please call someone that you can talk to about that. I'm not ruling out medication for some people, but speak to someone that can support you in that. I promise you don't have to go through that alone. If you feel comfortable talking to friends or family, go talk to them. Or if you want to go talk to a counselor or a psychologist or someone, talk to someone about that so that you can get the help that you need, so that you can get out of that space. Because when we're in that space, it can be very hard to see what's actually going on and what we need to change. But I hope some of these tips have helped. If there's anything in there that you'd like to explore further, or you're in that space and think, what I've done with Matt could be helpful for you, then reach out to me on Instagram, shoot me a message. We'll have a chat, see if what I do could work for you. But otherwise, now you've got the lesson, go take the action. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.